has been 90 days. Yes, 90 days since I left the US. Today is September 4th. Well, September 14th, yeah, at the day I'm recording this. And I wanted to do a video to just recap all the places that I've been by showing you the places that I've actually stayed in, from hotels to hostels to Airbnbs, and to just highlight some of the most memorable experiences that I've had. I landed on June 14th in Paris, France. Paris was not on my bucket list, y'all, but I was fortunate enough to go to Paris for the very first time with my two cousins and best friends. We stayed in Paris for 7 nights, and I will link in the description my blog post that I go in depth about all the places we visited, including some of the costs. But what I will just show you right now and just discuss with you all is what stood out to me the most in Paris. First and foremost, the food is bland. That's not a good thing, but I just got to point that out. It's bland in Paris. But the craft cocktails, oh yes, they are amazing in Paris. And it's so pretty. It's picturesque. Like, there's cafes on every corner. People just outside, just enjoying life. Now, this isn't a summer, so this don't go on in the winter. But my favorite experience in Paris was both seeing the Eiffel Tower and going to Versailles. I did not even know about Versailles until getting to Paris, and that was something that my cousin suggested that we do. And it was such a good time because I love gold. All gold, everything. And Versailles is full of gold and a ton of history, a beautiful garden out in the back that you literally could spend the day at. So I definitely enjoyed my time in Paris. So after Paris, and this is when the reality of me traveling solo hit me, because I had been so busy up until the point that I left that it didn't really dawn on me that I was really doing this by myself. But 2 days before leaving Paris, I realized, like, oh crap, you are really about to travel the world by yourself. And y'all, I didn't even have anything planned for my next destination. I have a loose itinerary that I share with my friends and family in my going away party, but I did not book anything outside of Paris. So 2 days before leaving Paris, my cousins were going back to the US. I could have stayed in Paris longer, but I didn't want to because it was expensive. I had to figure out where I was going. Barcelona, Spain, everyone, is where I ended up next on my solo world travel. Barcelona, great experience. This is actually the first time I stayed in a hostel in my life. At 36 years old, I decided to stay in a hostel. If you're not familiar with what a hostel is, in short, it's basically a college dorm. You know how in college you can have your own room or share a room with one other person? Well, in a hostel, you can have your own room or share your room up with people up to 8, from one other person up to 18 people. Yes, up to 18 people. Some hostels I've seen even more. I wasn't doing all of that. So I decided to book a hostel in Barcelona, and I have a whole other video on that explaining what it looked like. Well, not explaining what it looked like. I'm showing you what it looked like and sharing the activities that I did. So I'm not going to go through that in this video. But what I will go through is some of my favorite places that I visited. Sagrada Familia, historic church in Barcelona that is still, after nearly 200 years, still in construction to this day, still not done. Now, talk about a building fun. If you know, you know. Then the House of Gaudi. The Gaudi was the architect of Sagrada Familia, and there is a Gaudi museum in Barcelona that I definitely enjoy experiencing. I also had a great time at the rooftops in Barcelona, and I did go to the beach. The beaches were not, yeah, I really wasn't feeling the beaches that much. It wasn't that clean. The waves wasn't all that. It just wasn't that clean, in my opinion, to the beach that I went to. But that is my Barcelona experience in a nutshell. I stayed in Barcelona, the city of Barcelona, for 8 days. After leaving Barcelona, I went to Castelldefels, Spain, which is about 25 minutes outside of Barcelona on train. And I needed this, y'all, because after 2 weeks of socializing with my friends, my cousin, and meeting new people in Barcelona, I needed a break to recharge. So I just enjoyed my time at this very minor Airbnb and just reflecting and actually catching up with family and friends on phone calls during this time. I did go back to Barcelona several times while I was in Castelldefels, but I also toured Castelldefels. There's a historic castle there with a watchtower, and I really got to understand what piracy was like. Not piracy on your computers or LimeWire if you watching this and you know about LimeWire from back in the day, but pirates like in the in the ocean, in the seas, like actually taking over. So Castelldefels was a watch area for Spain. So I got to see the not see, but actually visit and stand in the watchtower. I thought that was pretty cool. Castelldefels was really short. I only stayed there a week, and I was recharged and ready to go back to Paris. Yes, I went back to Paris. Now, why did I go back to Paris? I went back to Paris because my friend Dorothea was coming to Paris with her husband with a travel group from Detroit. And I'm so glad I went back to Paris for 2 days because I wanted to see a familiar face. I was getting a little antsy at this point, even though I had been solo traveling for like 2.5 weeks at this point. I was definitely happy to see someone that I knew, and not just someone I know, but someone that I really chop it up with and kiki with, and I can just really just in person share everything that I've been experiencing so far being a solo traveler in Europe. So when I went back to Paris, not only did I catch up with Dorothea, but I did a little mini photo shoot for myself near the Eiffel Tower. I also was able to go on the Black in Paris walking tour, something I did not get a chance to do the first time in Paris. And I also ran into someone that I worked with. And if you want to know that story, you got to sign up for my weekly newsletters, and I can tell you what that experience was like. Because, child, yeah, oof, it was interesting. But all in all, I had a great time going back to Paris. And this time when I went back to Paris, I stayed in a hostel. I stayed at Paris Nation. Great location, right near the subway, or I should say metro, same thing as subway. And I'm so glad that I did. I saved money. And not only did I save money, it was a very clean hostel. And I actually like this hostel more than the one in Barcelona. Not that the one in Barcelona wasn't clean, because if it was not clean, I would have left, y'all. But it was just aesthetically pleasing. It had a nice little rooftop area. And I met two amazing ladies, and we just had the best conversation ever. We had live chats. We was talking to each other for like 3 hours about just personal friendship relationships, romantic relationship, career pivots, just all the stuff. And I didn't even know these ladies, but that's the type of experiences that you have when you travel solo. What do you think? Do you think if you were traveling solo, if you are introverted like me, and trust me, I'm introverted, I be stepping out of my comfort zone, do you think that you could just go have an in-depth conversation with a stranger? Let me know what you think in the comments. After Paris, it was time for Portugal. Lisbon, to be exact, was where I went for the first 2 weeks, and then I went to Porto. I was so excited for Portugal because I have been listening to podcasts and YouTube for a while about all these African Americans that are moving to Portugal because of low cost of living and just how beautiful it was. Now, I have a whole series on this channel dedicated to Lisbon, so I will not go in depth here about Lisbon, but what I will say is that it was the best place for me socially because I really stepped out of my comfort zone by setting up meetups with people for dinner, and I just had a great time. The best experience that I had in Portugal, well, there were three. They're kind of neck and neck. The Black in Lisbon walking tour just let me know so much history about Portugal. And going kayaking. Yes, you heard me, kayaking. I've never been kayaking in the ocean before, and I met a woman from the Black in Portugal Facebook group who was like, "Does anybody want to go kayaking?" And I was like, "Yes, me." And so we met up and we just had a great day. And then also going to this perfect beach in Sintra, Portugal was the main highlights from our Portugal stay. So let me tell you about Porto. I stayed in Porto, Portugal for a week. Now, I stayed in Lisbon for 2 weeks, but I only reserved a week in Porto because Porto is smaller than Lisbon, and plus, it was high. I mean, high as in prices. I decided to go to Portugal during peak season, and so the prices that I saw originally for booking Airbnb or hotels went up like 3 times when it came time to booking. So, only stayed a week in Porto, but Porto is definitely a place I want to go back to. because my favorite place in Europe to date is Douro Valley. Douro Valley is right outside of Porto, Portugal, and I had some of the best wine ever. Port wine, 22% alcohol alcohol level. Don't judge me, but it was smooth and it was a vibe, y'all. Porto, Portugal, Douro Valley specifically was just so much fun, and I met so many great people on the Airbnb experience, like getting tongue tied right now, through that tour. So a lot of questions that I get is, how are you meeting people? Well, I said before, in a hostel, and if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's linked below. And Airbnb experiences. You meet people like literally booking an experience on Airbnb. I don't have a travel guide. I'm finding out what I want to do by going to places like Airbnb and get your guide. But anyway, back to the point. Porto. Besides the Douro Valley, I just really love my Airbnb. So why don't you check it out here?
Welcome to my Airbnb. It was on the second floor, so a couple flights of stairs, but I love this Airbnb because it's so bright. The host met me at the front door, helped me carry my bags up, and he made me fresh cookies that were waiting for me. And the living room has so much natural light. I love it. Look at the city. This is where I looked at, or what I saw when I walked out my place every day. Bright. It was bright and sunny every day. He left me a little book of suggestions of where to go that I just showed you. And now I'm walking through the hallway and checking out like the linen closet area. That had an ironing board, which I had been missing. And then small bathroom, but the bedroom makes up for it because it's huge, and there's a little mini balcony that I sat out here at night and just got to look at the stars. It was so refreshing. And then that is pretty much it.
Porto, Portugal is where I got my braids done. Not these braids. I got these braids done where I'm at right now. I just got them done yesterday. But in Porto, I got braided up. I found this woman on Instagram. The Black in Portugal Facebook group does have recommendations for hairstylists and all that stuff, but they were booked and busy, and I needed my hair braided before going back to Spain. And so I really am so glad that I found her, because those braids lasted me for a minute. So I had to throw that in there, because one question that I get is, what you doing with your hair? I am getting on Instagram and I'm getting in these Facebook groups and I'm searching hashtags and all of that to find somebody to braid my hair or something, do something to my hair when I don't feel like doing it, right? I've been natural for since 2013, so I can't do a dog twist out, but I just don't be feeling like it. All right, let me tell you about my experience when I went back to Spain by train from Porto to Seville. After Porto, Portugal, I went to Seville, Spain. Seville, Spain was not on my list of places to visit during my year of travel, but a woman mentioned to me, or recommended, I should say, that I go to Seville, Spain if I really wanted to see true Spain. And I didn't really get what she meant into going to Seville, Spain, but oh boy, did I get it in a good way. Sevilla is a lot slower than Barcelona. They take siestas, which means that they take 2 to 3 hours during the middle of the day to rest. And they have daily menus and so on and so forth. I was a little disappointed in Sevilla, Spain, because I went off the recommendation of someone telling me that it was going to be a ton of Moorish history there. The Moors reigned in Spain for years. And the tours that I booked did not want to even mention the Moors, y'all. And that really made me upset. So I went to Sevilla, Spain to get this history and see these places, and I didn't get the history that I expected on these tours. The tour guide sucked. The Moors and the Alcazar go together. And I was at the Alcazar, and the tour guide did not want to mention anything about the Moors. And so I'm going to do my due diligence and really do an in-depth video on my experience at the Alcazar coming soon. But the Alcazar was a highlight of Sevilla, Spain. Sevilla, Spain was brutally hot. I mean, brutally hot. Like, probably like Arizona weather, but it just was no let up. I lost my purse in Sevilla, Spain. It was a lot going on in Sevilla. So it's rated low on my places, like as far as favorite places. It's not on that list. I'm glad that I went, but I don't plan on going back.
This Airbnb had the bare necessities in Seville. It did have a washer, not a dryer, but it had a washer located in the kitchen. That's pretty common in Europe. And I had to hang my clothes up to dry, which was very irritating. But the decor was just pretty basic. You know, they tried, but it just wasn't as impressive as the Porto location. And it did not have a lot of natural sunlight. This is in the middle of the afternoon and I have to turn on lights to record. So I didn't realize how much I needed natural sunlight until I didn't have it anymore. And the bathroom was pretty small. And yeah, it just wasn't anything too exciting about this. The location was a little out of the way, but I survived. I couldn't leave Seville without doing a cruise. So check out my experience here.
So I'm excited for this one because this cruise includes flamenco. So hopefully I can record because the one I went to earlier this week I couldn't record. So we shall see.
So the sunset cruise that I booked actually had flamenco. Flamenco is an art form based on various folkloric music traditions of southern Spain. Some say it originated in Granada, some say Seville. I don't know, but I did enjoy it. So check out what I was able to see on my last day in Seville, Spain. This was such a great way to conclude my 7 days in Seville, Spain. I will be doing a more in-depth video of Seville, but I just wanted to highlight my experiences in this quick recap. Farewell, Seville. I will not be seeing you again. It was good while it lasted.
After I went to Seville, Spain, I did a train ride to Granada, Spain.
I absolutely loved my train ride from Seville to Granada, Spain. It was so peaceful and relaxing. I was able to reflect on all of my travels to this point. A lot better than my experience from going to Lisbon to Porto. If you haven't seen that video, check it out, linked below. But definitely bake in some train rides if you're touring Europe. It's just so much better than going by plane country to country. Well, I'm glad I had a relaxing train ride because my Airbnb that you see me walking into, trash, damage in that front entryway. I don't know if y'all caught that. I do have a full video on how I was able to get a refund from this place. I did not stay here, but this is just a recap overall in 90 days. So I'm not going to go too much in depth here, but I just wanted y'all to see this trash Airbnb. This tiles hanging up when I'm walking in. So they did not thoroughly clean this place. And then in the bedroom, y'all going to see in a second, it looked like it was some mold growing in the corner. And it just did not know. Look at that. So it was damaged throughout. I changed my Airbnb. So check out my lovely new Airbnb that I ended up staying in for 7 days. I love this natural light. I love natural light. And it's just aesthetically pleasing. Look at the green. I love just the colors, the decor, the washers in the kitchen, not in the hallway like the other Airbnb, which they lied and said it was in unit. This bathroom, just everything about it just makes me smile. And I felt so relaxed here, even though it was a studio. I loved it.
A few things that I enjoy about Granada was I did a great walking tour of the caves in Albaicín Quarter. And these caves have been inhabited for years, like I want to say hundreds of years, but I was able to walk into a cave that people were actually living in, and I love caves, so I just thought that was such a cool experience. And I actually went on a walking tour that talked about the Berbers and the Moors. They actually wanted to give credit to the black people that had a great impact on Spain. So I was very appreciative of that. That was the best walking tour that I went on outside of the Black and Lisbon walking tour, because it was just me and the tour guide, and she was just giving me all this information. And we had a great conversation on religion and the Christian conquesta and all of that, which really set the tone for me doing my research before I go to Rome and Greece. But okay, off that tangent, I also visited World Historic Site, the Alhambra. So I'm so blessed in this experience. Not only am I enjoying myself, but I am seeing world historic sites. The Alcazar in Seville, Spain is a world historic site, and so is the Alhambra. The Alhambra was built for the Moorish dynasty. So yeah, it's so much history in Spain as it relates to Africans, and also in Portugal where the transatlantic slave trade actually happened, y'all. So, all right, enough history lesson. Let me get on to where I went to next. After leaving Seville, Spain, I wanted to go to Malaga, Spain for 2 days because it was a direct connect to the last location where I'm at right now. Not last location, but I booked a stay in a area about 20-30 minutes outside of Malaga, Spain. I can't say it, so I'm going to put it on the screen. I stayed here.
The Airbnb was in a good location. I can see the beach from my room, and there's a pool. Now the room itself is a little weird. It's a lot of Hello Kitty, which I knew before booking the room. And it's literally just a small little like room with a bathroom. It's very tiny, never seen anything like it, but it worked for 2 days.
I'm glad I was only there for a couple of days. The beach was amazing. The food on the beach was actually good. The drinks was on point. I just had a relaxing day at the beach, but the taxi cab and Uber experience was horrible. I've had horrible experiences throughout Europe with Uber. This took the cake. I actually ended up going to the train station at 10 o'clock at night, something I vow I would never do, because I knew that I was not going to be able to get a taxi to catch my 6 a.m. flight. I just did not want to chance it, and I was just over it. I was just over it in 2 days. That was just not my cup of tea. So I actually took the train at night to the airport, and I actually spent the night at the airport. I had the Airbnb booked, but I was ready to go, and I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to connect to my flight. And at this point, y'all, I'm at the 60-day mark. When I was at this part of Spain, I was mentally and physically drained from travel. It was starting to be a lot to unpack and pack every week. Every place that I've mentioned in this video, I've stayed at only 1 week, except for Lisbon. I stayed in a hotel for 2 weeks, but every other place I mentioned, it's been a week. Packing and repacking a week just took its toll on me. And so when I had the horrible experience with taxi and Uber drivers, I'm like, let me just make sure I catch my flight because I just don't want to be here no more. I knew that I was going to Bansko, Bulgaria next, where I'm at right now, where I'm filming. And if I didn't catch that 6 a.m. flight, it was either going to be I was going to get there at midnight. It was just going to be a whole bunch of other stuff. And the flights were like skipping a day. So there was not daily flights going from Malaga, Spain to Bulgaria at the time. So y'all, I actually went to the airport and stayed overnight. You can see it in my face that I was just exhausted. Like I was at the train and like I'm just ready to just get to this airport. And I was so determined. I shared my location with my mama as I was walking. And at the airport, I was just calling my friends and my family to stay up because I was like, I am not about to sleep in this airport. So I got to my location I'm in now, a beautiful Bansko, on pretty much no sleep. No freaking sleep, y'all. Have any of you ever stayed the night in the airport? Let me know below, because this was my first time ever doing it, and I hope I don't have to do this again. It wasn't bad, but I just had to stay up, so I was just tired. Because I was like, I'm not gonna go to sleep here. I'm a woman traveling by myself. I ain't about to go to sleep in here in this airport. No, we're not doing that. So let me tell you about Bansko, Bulgaria, and how the heck I ended up here, because it definitely was not on my list, y'all. So, common theme: Granada, Seville, Malaga, and now Bansko, Bulgaria. 4 places, 2 countries, and 4 cities that was not on my list that were added. Let's get into Bansko. Traveling on no sleep, I do not recommend. I'm so grateful that I met a guy named Frank who like was my guardian angel when I got to Bansko, because when I landed in Sofia, Bulgaria, I had to take a bus to Bansko, Bulgaria, which is about 2 hours away from Sofia. And along that route, I had to use the bathroom when I got to the bus station and all that. You have to pay to use the bathroom. I didn't have the local currency. And I also didn't have a lot of cash, because one thing that's been happening since I've been traveling is I've been trying to get a package from the US that I literally just got on my 90th day of being out of the States. This package had my debit card and other stuff that I really need in it. So Frank just looked out for me by giving me money to go to the bathroom. And then once we got to Bansko, he actually like was like, hey, we should split a cab or whatever. And thankfully he did, because I was so delirious. I didn't even know what to do. Like, the language in Bulgaria is Bulgarian language, and they use the acrylic alphabet, and it looks completely different from the English alphabet. And so getting to the bus station and just, being tired and trying to just read this different, like, I was like, okay, I do not have it in me to figure this out. So once I got on the bus and got here, I'm so thankful for Frank, because he not only did he give me get in the cab, he gave me cash, because he was like, you don't have any cash on you. He gave me cash just to be good for a day or two. Like, not a day or two. He gave me cash just like looking out. Like, didn't even know his name at that point. I ended up running to him again in full circle moment. I just talked to him for an hour while I was recording, which is why I'm missing some of my sunlight. But what I have learned these last 30 days is how patient I need to be. My mama been telling me that. But like, just operating in grace and just being so thankful for the smallest things and just showing gratitude to people. I'm always the type of person to help anyone out when I can. And I've definitely been getting that good karma back to me during this experience in Bansko. And I've definitely stepped out of my comfort zone again to socially meet people. It's just been a great experiences, from hiking and to going to dinner with different people. And it's just been, I've I've seen some growth in me, is that's all I'm going to say on this video as I'm closing out and recapping my 90-day experience. So thank you so much for watching. I definitely have so many videos, so much content to go through and edit and share with you. But this journey has been more than what I expected, in a good way. I didn't know what to expect when I left the States and traveling the world by myself. My family was scared, and friends was like, what are you doing? People were like, you have a midlife crisis. And so I just wanted to stretch and grow. And I knew that I was not hitting my full potential staying in Detroit. Like, I just wasn't hitting it. And so I needed to get out of my environment and throw myself in so many different environments to just, like I said, grow. I haven't done anything like this since going away to college. And that was just, hour and a half, 2 hours away. And even that experience just shaped my life in a great way. And so I wanted another experience like that. And I'm definitely getting it. So 90 days. How many countries? I got France, I got Spain, I got Portugal, and I got Bulgaria. 4 countries in 90 days. And I don't know how many cities, but a lot. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and share this video if you care. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.